Welcome to Retrobot, the YouTube channel where we feed a friendly space robot a diet of pure nostalgia. I'm Clay, and I am really excited to bring this video to you. We have just gotten in Machine Robo, Revenge of Cronos, Blue Jet. Here it is. Blue Jet, the Machine Robo character that was used to make Gobots Fitor. And so, before I dive right in, I'm just going to talk about the elephant in the room here. So this is Blue Jet. That is his Japanese name, and he turns into this. He turns into that. Let's see, and notice that it says right underneath this, Blue Jet, but he turns into that jet. And, you know, I feel like, oh, look, there's an even better picture. Once again, that jet's not blue. This is a red guy. There may be a translation thing here. Where in Japan blue means something else, maybe it's both a color and something that means fast or something like that. I don't know, but it is so odd to me to see this guy, and I'd understand if you looked at the Revenge of Cronos animated series and the character in the show was blue, or the original Machine Robo character was blue, but he's always been red. I don't know what this is, but it keeps happening. How many of you have a silver blue streak? Yeah, my blue streak wasn't blue. He was silver. So much so that when they did the alternators version, they just named it Silver Streak. Because everybody's like, hey, you know what? Blue Streak's not blue. What gives? And so here we have Blue Jet that is red. And I guess they're just sticking with it. It's like, hey, name's a name. He's Blue Jet. And you people in America that are stuck on that, you're just gonna have to get over it, and get over it we shall, because there's a lot to love in this package here. So I'm gonna open the package now. I've actually already taken Blue Jet out of here, but I wanted to show you what you get when you order one of these Machine Robo's figures, because they put a lot into this. Oh no, he's not in there. He's actually right over there. But you have the nice packaging and many layers of blister pack to kind of hold him in his shell, and a place for the swords and the thing. But you get some detailed colored instructions that I have not looked at, and I don't really need those. And then you've got this. This is the stand, the display stand. And Machine Robo, what they've done is, in order to increase the perceived value of their figures, because they are kind of pricey, they include a display stand. But what they do is, instead of having a large custom piece, that's one or two large molds, which is very expensive to tool up, they have these small pieces which fit together in a lot of different ways to create the display stand for your figure. And so you have plates like these that can go together like that, and really that's mostly how I guess you can also put them together like that, and wait, here you can also do that, and so there's different ways that you can configure these. And then you've got these triangular pieces right here that can go very securely like that, although that's probably one of the least useful ways to do it because they're so short. But you can also peg them in like that, or you know, maybe do something like that. I've got mixed feelings about these stands. In fact, actually, my feelings aren't mixed. The truth is, I don't care about the stand. I don't care about the stand. The stand kind of frustrates me because when you get a set of all of these pieces and these little joint things and these little sticks and whatever this is that kind of sticks into the stand, then there's this expectation that I have, maybe I'm the only one, but I always have this expectation that I'm going to be able to take these pieces and put together something very creative. And what I find is that despite it having lots of little holes and lots of tabs all over the stuff, the spacing is inconsistent. And so a lot of these things only fit in securely in a few ways. And you expect the pieces to be able to fit together any number of ways. But then you start putting it together and really it just, it can do whatever they picture, and it can do some other stuff, but you don't have nearly the creative expression opportunities with this stand that it looks like you should when you get a pile of pieces like this. And so I always find the stands kind of disappointing, and I don't even put them together anymore. You know, I did when I got my Cykill, and I fought with the stand pieces for Tough Trailer, which, by the way, all of those are the same pieces. Tough Trailer is twice the size, and you just get a whole bunch more of these pieces to make a larger display stand, but the pieces aren't any different. They're molded in slightly different shades of gray or black, but they're all the same pieces. And of course, I get it. From a manufacturing standpoint, and as an industrial designer, I respect the heck out of this. Okay, it's actually really smart. What they're doing is they're saving costs by tooling up for smaller pieces, and they're using those pieces again and again and again. And that's smart. It is smart on their part for including these things and giving people the opportunity to have a display stand so that they can have their toys out and really showcase them as something special, because they are something special. The problem is that I'm just not really wild about the actual design of the pieces. I feel like with a little bit more time and a little bit more thought, they could have made some of these tabs and slots a little bit more universal and gotten a lot more flexibility, giving me, the user, a lot more creative control over what I constructed. And so that's why at this point, I just don't give a flying fig about the stand. Sorry, if I bought a Machine Robo guy and he didn't come with the stand, I wouldn't cry about it. I would, maybe in Wave 2, you guys, tool up for a jetpack or, or some armor or something like that. Something that I'm more interested in because, the stands. So that's the stand, and it's the same stand that you'll get with any number of the Machine Robo guys. But honestly, the stand doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. Let's go ahead and take a look at the guy, because that's what's important. So here he is in his vehicle mode, and he is definitely not a blue jet, but he is a red jet or a red spaceship. He is a flying thing that actually looks really, really cool. I love the dynamics of this vehicle mode, and it really looks cool from all angles. I mean, you look at the thrusters in the back, and I love these rectangular thrusters. You know, I've grown up with circular thrusters, and I have to say that it's really nice to see some rectangles coming out the back end of a jet. I don't know why, but I like it, and I'm in favor of it, and Blue Jet here really does hold these things very, very well. He looks great. He just looks great. And you can see that he's got some swords here under the wings, and we're going to talk more about that in just a bit. He's also got a very long nose cone, and so notice that the nose cone is painted, and I don't like it. I don't like that it's painted. I wish that this were translucent blue, or even a very dark translucent blue, but I don't. I wish it weren't painted. And here, I'm going to show you why. So you have the vehicle mode here, and see, this whole nose cone piece is actually an extra part. You take it off, and then this part can split, and then each of these halves are sheaths for the swords in robot mode, and it's very, very cool. And then you look at what's underneath, and it's like, oh, this is the cockpit that we remember from the Machine Robo guy that got turned into Fitor, which I have my original Fitor right here, and I can turn him into a Fitor in just a matter of seconds. And he's a little bit worse for the wear. You can see that his chrome is nearly rubbed off at this point. He's a cute little jet, but honestly, he was never one of my favorites. I think that because the front end was so stubby, and then, you know, you also had a severe case of robot face on the underside. And, you know, when I was a kid, I didn't like robot face. You know, I don't want robot face on my vehicles. Which, hey, Hanna-Barbera, if you're gonna have Scootor be one of your main characters, and the toy actually doesn't have robot face, don't add a robot face! You don't need to add a robot face to the front of Scootor. It does not make it cooler. So, yeah, he always had robot face on the underside, and there were plenty of Gobots that had robot face on the underside. Cockpit was almost exactly the same. He had, you know, his legs transformed differently, but his arms did the exact same thing, and you had more robot face on the underside. And yeah, you just kind of have to ignore it. Even the original Gen 1 Transformers Seekers, Starscream, Thundercracker, Skywarp, and even the subsequent Coneheads, Thrust, Dirge, and Ramjet, they all had some robot face on the underside of that jet. The faces were much smaller, and so it was easier to ignore, but boy, that was always kind of hard to ignore. But nonetheless, you look at the cockpits on these guys, and they really, really just dead nuts. It's obvious that they took great care in designing this to really capture what you had with this. And this, as a vehicle, is still not bad. You know, I'm not usually a fan. If you saw my video on Warbatron Whirlwind, the helicopter that was inspired by Vortex, in order to transform it from a helicopter into a robot, you had to take off most of the cockpit, and they made it a gun. And that's lame. I'm sorry. It's a lame shortcut. It's a shortcut, and it doesn't really deal with the geometry. It kind of cheats by changing the geometry into what you want it to be to make the transform that you're going for. Now, what they've done here very cleverly is, yes, The cockpit is an extra piece, but you take off this extra piece and you still have a cockpit underneath. So this is still a completely viable and acceptable vehicle mode, even without the admittedly cooler looking, longer nose piece. And I suspect that that's why they didn't cast this out of a translucent blue, because if they did, you would be able to see that secondary cockpit underneath. Personally, I don't think I would have minded. You know, who knows? Maybe at some point I'll cast some molds of this piece and try to cast one out of a translucent blue. But you know what? I'm really bad at that sort of stuff, and so it probably wouldn't come out nice anyway. Nonetheless, they could have done it and then done the red with paint applications, and that would have been cool. But here's the biggest, I'm going to say, the biggest sin of this vehicle design, because it is cool, and it's, you know, it's very dynamic, and, you know, it's like, it's 2021, and he still has a terrible case of robot face. I mean, really, guys? Come on now. And I have heard people say that, well, they're homaging the original. No. You don't homage the bad parts of the original design. The parts that you kind of squint and try to forget about. You homage the good stuff. You know, they've recreated this sort of dumpy looking jet mode, and they've reimagined it to be sleek and awesome, and, you know, whereas this kind of goes, this one goes, and maybe it shoots swords at people because it has swords here, so, you know, it could just shoot the swords, although they're in those holders really well, so they don't want, you know, the side things do come out, so I can do that, and it'd be like, and it's like, oh no, that fighter jet just shot a sword at me, and I'm dead now. I mean, that's pretty awesome. So yeah, I feel like they could have put a couple tabs on these shoulder pieces that would have come together and covered up the face. They could have made the head with, like, they've got this little visor thing over the face, you know, that sticks out far. They could have made that just like a little hinged piece that, you know, little cover, just, you know, no, you know, hey, there's the face, no more face. There's the face, no more face. And they could have done something like that. They had opportunities and they didn't fix it. So he's got robot face on the underside, and I just have to ignore it. I have to move on. But other than that, I do really, really like this vehicle mode. It does look awesome. I just have to ignore the robot face. Other things that are noteworthy is that notice that Blue Jet here has a red and white and gray color scheme, whereas Fitor, and I don't have the original Machine Robo version of this figure, so I don't know if for sure these were the colors. I've read that the colors didn't change much, so if you are familiar with the actual Machine Robo version of this toy and its colors are white and gray and red, not red and black and silver, then please leave me a comment and educate me and educate the other viewers of this video, because I would love to know. But nonetheless, I do like the silver and black better than the white and gray. It's granted, the silver rubs off, and I know we're not going to get vacuum metallized silver on these wings. Not in 2021. That's not really done as much now as it was back in the 80s. But look, we got silver on the swords. They could have used this silver here. and they could have used that silver there. I think it would have been cool. Nonetheless, if you stop trying to compare it to the Gobot that we all had 30 plus odd years ago, and just look at it for what it is, it's awesome looking. It is awesome looking, and I do love the design, but it gets a couple raspberry points for the robot face, and it gets a half raspberry point for having white rather than silver, because silver's cooler. Silver's just cooler. So there it is. Let's go ahead and turn this guy into a robot, because he has a robot face. He better do something with it. So we're going to start by... actually, I'm going to take the swords off if I can. So these side pieces just slide right out. I don't know why that is. I kind of appreciate it, because these little grippers actually hold those swords really securely. And they're not hard to remove, but it is a little bit awkward to try and remove them while they're attached to the jet. So in that case, I am glad that these things just kind of slide right out. And they don't even snap. It's just a relatively snug fitting, not too snug, but they just friction fit in. And so we can detach our swords, and then I'll just put this right back in the arm, and they go that way. And also, it looks like a rectangle, but it's actually got a little bit of a bevel on it that makes them side specific, so that you're not going to get them confused and put them in the wrong arm. They just won't go in wrong. We're also going to take off the sacrificial nose cone, and we might as well just split these pieces very gently, because it is a pricier toy. These these Revenge of Cronos figures are not the $18 figures that you get at Walmart for the Transformers Deluxe class. These very oftentimes are about $40 for the smaller ones. Tough Trailer was closer to $80. So yeah. And this really wants to hang on. There we go. Okay, there we go. So remove the nose cone, remove the swords, and now we can start taking him and turning him into a robot. So I'm going to flip out the feet, which are just pegged into the front of the legs there. There is the arms right here, and see, they've got a little hole on the underside that tabs into this little rectangular tab there, and this one right there. And now the shoulders are also tabbed in to the ornament in the center of his chest. So we can swivel the arms and pivot the shoulders back like that, and it's pretty much the exact same move as you had from original Fitor when you would spread the arms this way. So they are once again recapturing a lot of the elements, and see, that's stuff to homage. It's like, oh, you remember how the shoulders went? Yeah, we're going to mimic that with this design, and it's going to be cool, and we're going to do it even better. So that's what homages are all about. So we've got the legs here, and let's go ahead and pull these little panels away from the wings. And we're also going to split, well, don't split too much. We're going to pull these down, and see, there's actually, where the legs come together, there are a couple tabs that go into a hole in the bottom of the nether regions, and so we're just going to get it unseated from that little tab, and then we should be able to expand the legs out. Now, it's not a slide joint like the original Gobots version. I know the Gobot isn't the original one, but you know, just go with me, because this is called Machine Robo and the original was called Machine Robo, but this is not a Gobot. So now you get what I'm saying. So we're going to pull this a little bit forward, and it's going to hinge out. And you see how that hinge works? It's actually, okay, you know what? I lied. It is a slide. It is absolutely a slide, and you just need to very carefully pull, because, you know, it's like I said, it's an expensive toy. So it's going to slide up like that, but unlike the original Fitor toy, now we're going to take those side panels and we're going to snap them against those extended legs, and they do snap very, very nicely. And that is going to hold them into place. So whereas with my original Fitor, you can see that the legs kind of don't want to stay fully extended. These lock in so that he actually has his legs at full extension. The wings fold back, much like the original, but then we have a second hinge right here that helps tuck them in, and that's really nice. I like that. And they make clicky noises, which is also very nice. And so at this point now, we can just adjust his arms into whatever position we want. We can, you know, get them into some nice action poses, and we can give him a sword, because having a figure hold a sword is very, very cool. And then, before we spend too much time putting him into poses, let's finish the job here. We have these little side panels on his sides here that are going to go down, and they're going to swing down to go next to his hips, and we're going to do the same thing on the other side. And then I always forget about this, but this is part of the transform. We've got this little panel right here that can swing down, and so now he's got a pivoting waist, and that's actually on a ball joint, so he's got a lot of range of motion here. I mean, you know, there's just a lot of articulation with this guy. And now you've got these things, and so the way these work is, you see this little rectangular hole right there on this edge. Well, that is, so the open part is going to be to the outside of the figure, and the hole is going to be to the top, and then you're just going to peg that right in to the back of that hip piece. And then we're going to do the same thing on the other side, just like that. And now we're going to take this sword, oh wait, here, I'm going to flip it over, there we go, there, and the sword fits in like that. And so that is really cool. I actually really like that they stick out. I like that it kind of creates this dynamic silhouette for him, like he's a samurai, and you know, he's got the wide-legged you know, robes and stuff. There's a name for that, and I should probably know what it is, but you know, I've been spending my life playing with robot toys, and so I don't. His gi, maybe it's his gi. I think it might be his gi. Anyway, so you can have him in cool poses like that, and have him holding his swords, and he's, you know, he can put his arms in really dynamic and cool looking positions, and he can kick butt. And you know, I never realized when I saw Fitor, I never imagined him as much more than just you know, one of the grunts. And then you see this guy, and it's like, oh, he's a swordsman, he's a samurai, he's awesome. and it really changes the identity of the character, which of course in Japan and the Revenge of Cronos series, he's not a bad guy. He's not the right hand of Psykill. He's one of the heroes, and I don't really know much about the Revenge of Cronos series because I haven't watched it. But maybe I need to, because these are really awesome toys. Let me go ahead and put this on the other camera so that you can really appreciate all that goes into this robot. And so here he is in his robot mode, and of course I had to put him into a dynamic action hero pose, because honestly, this guy is no longer just some grunt. He is amazing. He is awesome looking. And look at all of the points of articulation. Look at how well you can move his limbs around. And I just love the way that the sword sheaths, boy, that is hard to say fast. The sword sheaths stick out from his hips. I love the wings on the legs. I especially love the detail in the hands. The way that they did the hands, if you look closely, his top two fingers are extended out a little bit more than his bottom fingers. So it gives him a look like he's still able to hold things, but he's not just clenching a fist. So you've got all of the, you've got this ball joint in the waist that gives him an extra level of mobility and flexibility, ball joint at the head, and neither one of those joints offer dramatic motion, but it's subtle, and it really does have a dynamic effect. Again, ball joints in the shoulders, pivots in the biceps, there's the hinges at the elbows, and then ball joints in the forearms. And of course the fists are also on a swivel here. And then we've got the aforementioned ball joint at the waist and ball joints at the legs, and then swivels, and then bending knees, and then we've got ball joints with the feet. So there is just a tremendous amount of action posability on this figure that makes him a lot of fun to play with, and really, really cool to set up into poses and to display if somebody had bothered to set up his display stand, which I didn't. Probably not gonna. But he is really, really cool. Now, one thing that I have noticed, this is a little bit of a criticism, so it gets, I'm going to say it gets a quarter raspberry. The feet are not real big, and then we've got this heel piece that's just kind of fixed there. But depending on how you have the rest of the foot positioned, a lot of times the heel piece doesn't touch the ground, and the tail pieces don't touch the ground, and these wing things don't touch the ground, yet he's still got an awful lot of weighty stuff happening on his back end, which means that he tends to be hard to get to stand up and not want to fall backwards. He is a little bit unstable, and that's a shame for a character that's got so much articulation, and it seems like you should be able to hold him up into any pose. Admittedly, for the pose that I was just showing you, I cheated a little bit by kind of hooking his leg into the hole that's on that box I had him sitting on, just so that the tail could lend him a little bit more support. So that is something that is considerable. Nonetheless, I think that it kind of is no surprise to say that I really like this figure. And if you are a fan of transforming robot toys, especially if you are one of those closet fans of Gobots, and I'm not really a closet fan of Gobots, I am a vocal fan of Gobots. I loved Gobots, and I still love Gobots, and I have a lot of respect for them. Then you want this. And if you've got it in your budget to be able to pay the higher price tag on these Revenge of Cronos figures, it's a really high quality toy. It feels like it, it has weight. There's metal pieces in here. The plastic is very nice and it seems solid, and his joints hold their positions, and he's so well articulated. Plus, the body dynamics are really, really impressive. Just look at him. He's got those big arched shoulders, and then a slim waist, and then his legs flare out. I mean, he looks like an anime robot come to life. And let's face it, anime robots are cool looking, which means that he's cool looking. And the fact that you can do so much stuff with him and his swords means that he's cool. That's it. He's cool. That's my final review. He's cool. Buy him. By the way, I don't get monetized or anything. I'm not sponsored by Machine Robo. They don't give me money for saying that their toys are cool. Their toys are just cool. So, that is Blue Jet, who's red. But we'll forgive him for that because he may not be blue, but he is cool. I don't really know what blue has to do with cool. I guess on your thermostat, the side that says cool is usually blue. So that's where I'm going with that. Yeah. So, if you like this video, then please give it a thumbs up, subscribe to the channel, click the notification bell. That way you know when we're doing more of these Short Circuits videos, and you'll also know when we're doing our live streams, which typically happen every Friday night at 8 o'clock Eastern United States time. With a few rare exceptions, and every now and then we throw out bonus stuff, but we usually try to do these videos a few times a week, and we have that big live stream on Fridays. It's a party, just show up in the chat. We'll toast to you, and we have awesome people in our chat that are very, very clever and very witty and are far more entertaining than I am, so it's a lot of fun. So that's it. Blue Jet. He is awesome. Huge recommend. Absolutely recommend this guy. He's a lot of fun. Yes, he has robot face on the underside of his vehicle mode. You just have to get past it. I may kit bash it so that it doesn't. If I do, I'll tell you about it. But I promise to be gentle. So, nonetheless, this is Clay telling you to keep it Retrobot. That's right. You keep it Retrobot, or keep it Retro Bot, or keep it Retrobot, or keep it Retrobot. Not really sure what else I can do with that, but I'm kind of amazed that I got that much out of it. So yeah, you keep it Retrobot. That's really what I'm saying. You keep it Retrobot. You keep it retro. Well,